I think this is a year where we sort of see the culmination of um, the 5 levels of software development kind of become achieved. And I really wonder now if we're going to become the reviewers of state and not the less so the ideators and the implementers, right? So the ideators, the implementers, and then the kind of custodians and the reviewers, right? So I think it's going to be crazy, essentially. I think we've got we've got agents and we've got assistants and we have multi-agents in coordination now. And you can wake up tomorrow to, I asked a CTO buddy of mine, I'm like, how would you feel if your team woke up to 100 pull requests? Santa's little village has delivered 100 for you to review. You don't need to code. They don't code. They wake up and go, dun, 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 dun. And it's like, did you sign up to be a QA engineer? Because you're doing a code review every day. You're not writing your novel. You're reading students' reports and saying yes, 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 yes. The business loves it. Product owner loves it. The startup founder loves it. Why? Because it didn't take, that work would have been done. All of that would have been done. Now it's done in a day or a week, a shorter time frame. So, but the cognitive load that has on us who lift with our minds, that's what we do, right? I'm not paid to, push my body to the limit in any form. But I am paid to push my brain to the limit, right? To consider what you're saying and how it might be systematized and productized and architected. And I think we're adding a cognitive load to the ecosystem that has never before been seen. And that's going to cause a lot of feelings. My own team has feelings about this. And my feeling is adrenaline is the drug that is like fueling me because I want to see the future faster. I'm excited for the future. I think we can get towards utopia faster. And that's always been a goal. One of our core values is to make progress. Going faster to me is like perfect, but not everybody likes that. So that's like a taste of it. So I'm curious what happens because I don't think we're at a point now where you can take a human out of the cockpit. I wouldn't take a human out of the cockpit, right? Yeah, look at you.
No.
Right.
But still.
Even in 50 years, even in maybe not 50 years, in 30 years, maybe I would take a human out of a train. Maybe. But even then, I think the collaboration between a robot and a human, biological robot, is still essential. I think it's just part of nature to have a mechanical aspect and a biological aspect working in tandem that you have as like a symbiosis. Robots just running robots
There's a whole perspective that I think humans bring to the table and that I don't think you can ever completely replace, right? But there's the more mechanical, logical work, I think, like encoding is complex, right? I get that, but still that is very logic based. It makes sense. So I think that's where you can get to. But I mean, reviewing code gets harder, but actually thinking what you just said, startups, right? A startup, who's my customer, talking to the customer, figuring out what they actually want and need. I think it's going to be a while before the agents get there. It's very complex.
It could the thing is, we could easily imagine it. We could easily say, this robot runs this system. This robot runs this business. They had the DAO, decentralized autonomous organizations back in the crypto 2016 to 2018. It was a smart contract enabled, like, hey, that's just follow. It's a rule-based system. Ray Dalio's entire principles are based on, in my mind, a logical worldview of like, here's how you put together what you should do when. And I'm like, what you're doing is basically defining a rule-based AI. You're not doing it with quantitative like machine learning. You're doing it through like a system of logic because it's the 70s, baby. So like, I get the world. We all get it, right? Like a benevolent Skynet. There's a great book called Scythe that has an AI that is a global AI that runs the world. And it is wonderful. Nobody dies. Everyone's happy. It's actually a good character. It's helping the protagonist. So it's called I think the Thunderhead. And so it's really neat to see, like, but even it had obstacles it could not overcome because of being an AI. It was governed under certain rules and principles. It could not help the protagonist fight the antagonist in certain areas. It was just the rules. And if it didn't follow those rules, therein lies like a slippery slope, right? And it knew that. It knew it couldn't betray its code. And that was its kind of weakness, as we all have, right? So I think we can easily imagine that. I don't think we're there. I think in 100 years we'll be there. We'll be like, oh yeah, these AI ships are doing these AI things. Go. Yeah. And then if something goes wrong, we'll be like, is everything okay? Westworld does that, which is great. But I think the next year is, I'm not worried about AI. I'm not worried about the machines. I'm not worried about data centers. I'm not worried about the state of the global uncertainty has been set for the next several years in terms of it is uncertain and volatile. I'm more focused on like, what is the mindset of the intrapreneur and entrepreneur? What I asked this yesterday. I said, and it's interesting to get his response. I asked, how do you want to get up the mountain? We're your Sherpa. We take you to the top. There's other agencies that could do it their way. Sure. This is how we would normally go at it. But there is another way up the mountain now. And that way is not this. Yeah, you could do it and not skip the steps, but it is fast and it is AI driven and it is proof of concept prototype. It is vibey. We call it glide coding because it's governed under documentation. And he was like, actually, I think I want to do this way up the mountain. I'd rather go this way and not like a scramble up. And I found that interesting.